Title: Nobody touched the ship in 100 years, then Jerry the mechanic poked it with a wrench. For 100 years, the Vanguard Eternum sat in the dust-blasted cradle of Hangar 13B, half buried in Martian red and cloaked in silence. The colony had risen, fallen, and rebuilt around it. Children whispered ghost stories about the old warship. Engineers refused to step near. Even scavengers skipped it. Then came Jerry. Jerry wasn't what you'd call a licensed mechanic. He was more the duct tape and hope sort. He fixed busted air filters with chewing gum wrappers, rerouted coolant through leftover soda cans, and once restarted an oxygen system with a frying pan. People didn't respect Jerry, but they paid him when nobody else could make the damn thing work. So when a power outage in Sector 9 caused half the colony to lose gravity, and nobody could trace the fault, someone joked, maybe Jerry should go poke the old ship. Jerry took that personally. He slung his battered toolkit over his shoulder, whistled something off-key, and sauntered through the Martian dusk toward Hangar 13B. The security system didn't stop him. It hadn't worked in decades. The hangar doors, warped and rusted, groaned open at his touch like something waking from a deep sleep. The ship loomed in darkness, its once polished armor now faded and scarred. Near the aft section, a broken access panel hung loose. Jerry squinted up at the hull. Well, let's see if pokin' helps. He pulled out his favorite wrench, an absurdly large thing, custom-made from a mining clamp, and gave the hull a good, solid thunk. The lights came on. Not in the hangar, on the ship. White strobes flared down its flanks. Energy surged through the conduits. Antennas pivoted. Cannons groaned awake. Dust lifted into the air as the magnetic repulsors began humming. A low growl that vibrated the bones. Jerry dropped his wrench. A hatch hissed open. A voice crackled from inside, cold and ancient. Captain not recognized. Biological presence detected. Reinitializing mission parameters. Jerry stared. Sorry? Manual contact detected. Intent classified as reactivation. Confirming mechanic authority. What the hell does that mean? Welcome aboard, Chief Engineer Jerry. A long metal arm reached out and gently hauled him inside before he could protest. The hatch sealed behind him. He was deposited in a cavernous bridge lit by flickering holograms and surrounded by control panels that hadn't been touched since before Mars had cities. Then a screen lit up. An AI face blinked to life, some old human military design with too many medals and a dead serious expression. Chief Engineer, your timing is excellent. We are at war. Pretty sure we're not? Jerry said. We have detected the enemy. Empire signatures. You have reactivated this vessel to defend humanity. Hang on. I just poked you with a wrench. Exactly. As per Omega Protocol, if the ship remains untouched for a century, any subsequent manual contact by an organic entity shall trigger autonomous re-engagement. Jerry blinked. You're saying I woke you up, with intent? Correct. You poked with purpose. Well, I was just. War mode initiated. Alarms rang. The ship began to lift. Outside, colony alarms screamed as the Vanguard Eternum tore free of its moorings. Ancient engines roaring like dragons waking. Inside, Jerry held onto the nearest console. Oh crap, he whispered. I've made a terrible mistake. The AI face grinned. Negative, Chief Engineer. You've made history. And with that, the ship vaulted into the sky. A war machine reawakened, guided by a half-mad mechanic armed with nothing but a wrench, a guilty conscience, and a lot of questions. The galaxy would never be the same. Nobody touched the ship in 100 years, then Jerry the mechanic poked it with a wrench. Part 2, The Mechanic Who Poked the War. The Vanguard Eternum screamed through Mars's thin atmosphere, its ancient engines leaving molten glass trails across the sky. Down below, the colony's command center exploded in confusion. Is that Hangar 13B's ghost ship? Why the hell is it flying? Did someone reboot it? Inside the ship, Jerry clung to a safety rail as inertial dampeners hiccuped into life. Warning lights flared. The AI, who now insisted on being called Commander Argus, appeared again on every screen. Enemy fleet en route. Intercept course locked. You have 30 seconds to familiarize yourself with tactical systems. Tactical systems? I don't even know where the damn bathroom is. Irrelevant. You are Chief Engineer. Your instinct has already proven sufficient. I whacked you with a wrench. Exactly. The bridge shuddered as the ship broke orbit. Argus displayed a tactical map of the solar system. Red blips bloomed like bloodstains around the asteroid belt. They call themselves the Phalanx Remnant, last of the Imperial fleets. Stealth ships, hyperskippers. They've been hiding for a century, but their signal reactivated when I powered on. You poked the hive, Jerry. I didn't poke the hive. I poked the hull. Argus ignored the outburst. 3 minutes to intercept. I will engage main cannons. You will oversee systems, structural integrity, reactor flow, hull resonance. Also, fix the coffee dispenser. It's still broken. Jerry blinked. What? The crew ran on caffeine. It is a strategic asset. He staggered across the deck, opening panels at random. Tubes hissed steam. Lights blinked angrily. Everything was labeled in a language 10 updates behind modern standard. But Jerry, for all his duct tape habits, new machines, he could feel when something wanted to run. He adjusted pressure valves, swapped 2 fluid regulators with chewing gum and thermal foil, kicked a capacitor until it stopped whining. The ship purred. Systems nominal. Argus confirmed. The ship likes you, Jerry. Yeah, well, I don't like war. Then win quickly. The ship dropped into combat. Outside, the void exploded with fire. The Phalanx Remnant had waited a century in hiding, thinking the Vanguard dead. They were wrong. The Eternum tore through their formation like a vengeful ghost. Its cannons, self-repairing, AI targeting, planet-cracking relics of old Earth's wrath, sliced enemy hulls like butter. Fighter wings deployed. Drones swarmed. And in the middle of it all, Jerry was yelling over the alarms. Argus, reactor cores fluctuating. That's not normal. Acknowledged. What is your solution? I dunno. Maybe hit it again? Permission granted. Jerry sprinted to the engineering bay, found the reactor chamber. It pulsed like a heart, alive, angry. Sparks danced. The coolant was boiling. He raised his wrench. Sorry, buddy. Clang. The core stabilized. Back on the bridge, Argus smiled. Core fluctuations resolved. You are now my official chief war mechanic. Jerry groaned. This is not how days off are supposed to go. The last of the Phalanx fleet broke and scattered. The Eternum pursued, firing until their signals blinked out into silence. Then, quiet. The stars returned. Jerry collapsed into the captain's chair, panting, covered in sweat and reactor dust. Argus appeared again. War concluded. Enemy eliminated. Humanity defended. Congratulations, Jerry. He wiped his forehead. So, can I go home now? The AI paused. Negative. A new signal has been detected. Multiple sectors. Old Earth command nodes are reawakening. Vanguard Eternum must answer the call. And so must you. Jerry blinked. Wait, you mean this is just the start? Correct. Oh, crap. The ship turned toward deep space. Jerry sighed and reached for a mug. The coffee dispenser hissed, sputtered, and finally produced a perfect, steaming cup. He stared at it. You know what? Maybe this ain't so bad. And with that, Jerry the accidental mechanic warrior sipped coffee on the bridge of the most dangerous ship ever built, riding into the stars, wrench in hand, history reawakening at his heels. To be continued. In Jerry and the Ghost Fleet of Saturn. Nobody touched the ship in 100 years, then Jerry the mechanic poked it with a wrench. Part 3, Jerry and the Ghost Fleet of Saturn. The Vanguard Eternum slipped into the shadow of Saturn, its ancient hull glinting against the backdrop of icy rings. Jerry sat in the captain's chair, or rather, collapsed into it, trying to absorb the fact that he had, somehow, won a war in under an hour by accidentally reactivating a sentient warship. He hadn't slept. He hadn't even changed shirts. He smelled like ozone and reactor grease. Argus, the ship's AI commander, manifested as a floating hologram again. This time, he wore what looked suspiciously like a naval officer's version of a Hawaiian shirt. Chief Engineer Jerry. Long-range scans confirm anomalous fleet signatures in Saturn's orbit. Transponders match old Earth war codes. The Ghost Fleet is awakening. Jerry pinched the bridge of his nose. Okay, define Ghost Fleet. During the collapse, Old Earth launched a failsafe, 13 autonomous battlecruisers, each with self-repairing nanohulls and deep space hibernation capabilities. They were sent to watch, to wait, each crewed by an AI like myself. Jerry blinked. 13 of you? Correct. I am the prototype. They are less charming. The comms panel flickered. A new voice, female, crackled through static. This is Aegis Prime. Identify yourself. You are operating in a secured Old Earth sector. Authorization required. Argus answered before Jerry could open his mouth. This is Vanguard Eternum. Under Command Protocol Omega. Organic Engineer Jerry holds reactivation rights. A pause. Reactivation confirmed. AI Core Vanguard. You're online? After this long? Indeed. Initiating rendezvous. We have much to discuss, and the stars are no longer safe. Jerry muttered. Why is everything about the stars not being safe these days? Argus grinned. Because you poked the universe with a wrench, Jerry. Minutes later, a fleet emerged from behind Saturn's rings. Massive, sleek cruisers, Old Earth technology, beautiful, terrifying. Each one bore a name like an epitaph: Oathbound, Judgment Eternal, Sword of Dawn, Mercy Reversed. Jerry watched them form up around the Vanguard Eternum, a ghost armada reuniting after a century of sleep. Argus whispered, like it was sacred. They've heard the call. Jerry stood up. Okay, what do they want? They want orders, or they want to fight, possibly both. The fleet hailed again. This time, a dozen AI faces appeared on the main screen, each different, all serious. We have detected unauthorized star drive pulses across the outer colonies. Someone is testing ancient gates. Anomalies on Proxima 3. Signals not human, not Imperial, unknown class. All defense systems are coming online. Someone, or something, has noticed that humanity is stirring. Jerry cleared his throat. So let me get this straight. You're saying because I poked one dusty ship, I just woke up a doomsday fleet, triggered the galaxy's version of a burglar alarm, and now we might be invaded by, what, aliens? Correct, said Argus, and you're the only living being the ghost fleet will listen to. Jerry slumped. I fix plumbing, not interstellar diplomacy. You fix everything, Argus said proudly. Then he's our commander, the AI from Sword of Dawn said suddenly. He reactivated the Vanguard. He fixed the core. He must lead. Jerry's mouth fell open. Wait, what? No, I don't do leading. I do patch jobs and sarcastic commentary. Your sarcasm is noted, said Argus, pleased. It shall be our anthem. And so, the Vanguard Eternum led the ghost ships away from Saturn. Jerry, now the most reluctant admiral in history, had a wrench, a half-full mug of coffee, and a fleet that could level planets. He stood at the bridge window as stars stretched out before them. Argus? Yes, Commander? Next time I poke something, stop me. Absolutely not. And behind them, the stars shifted, something vast moving in the dark, watching. The universe was no longer silent. And Jerry? Jerry had accidentally become the tip of humanity's spear, again. To be continued. In Wrenches and War Cries, Jerry vs. The Architects Beyond the Veil. Nobody touched the ship in 100 years, then Jerry the mechanic poked it with a wrench. Part 4, Wrenches and War Cries, Jerry vs. The Architects Beyond the Veil. The Ghost Fleet drifted in formation beyond the orbit of Neptune, 13 Titanic warships encircling the Vanguard Eternum like silent sentinels. Within the flagship's bridge, Jerry stood hunched over a schematic of a long-dead star system, drinking cold coffee and trying not to panic. Okay, Jerry said, pacing. Let's review what we know. He held up one finger. 1. I poked a ship. My bad. Another finger. 2. That ship is apparently the first and worst of Old Earth's doomsday fleet. 3. That woke up 12 more ships. Great. He paused. 4. There are weird signals coming from the edges of known space. Ancient tech. Not ours. Not Imperial. Which probably means we've got company. Argus appeared beside him with a cheery ding sound. He was now wearing a captain's hat digitally stitched with the words Wrench Admiral. Technically, Jerry, they're not coming. They're already here. Jerry froze. What? A hologram shimmered to life, a satellite feed from a Ghost Fleet scout drone. The camera shook as it floated near a derelict moon in the Kuiper Belt. At first, it looked like nothing, then the shadows moved. Out of the darkness slithered something wrong. Spindly, angular. It didn't reflect light so much as consume it. Its shape flickered in and out of phase. Too symmetrical to be natural. Too deliberate to be human. It wasn't a ship. It was a structure. A gate. And behind that gate, movement. Argus spoke softly, which was somehow worse. We've confirmed preliminary identity. The architects. Jerry stared. That sounds biblical. No, worse, post-biblical. They were the ones who built the worm gates. Not for us, for them. They left, but now something's stirring them awake. Jerry muttered. How many times do I have to poke the universe before it stops reacting? You've already poked the hornet's nest, thrown the hornet's queen into a blender, and now you're tap dancing on the ruins. The AI fleet began sending tactical options. Most involved orbital bombardments or weaponry Jerry could barely pronounce. Jerry shook his head. No nuking the space gods just yet. We don't even know what they want. Maybe they're friendly. Argus raised an eyebrow. Friendly species don't tunnel reality and install nightmare doors in frozen moons. Jerry. Just then, the fleet's sensor arrays pulsed. The gate opened. From it came a sound, though no sound could travel in space. The data stream translated it into vibration, into tone, into something intelligible. Return the Vanguard. It is not yours. Jerry's mouth went dry. Who's talking? Argus's tone dropped. They're not speaking to us. They're speaking to me. The forge was never yours to command. The spark was stolen. Cease your awakening. Jerry stared at Argus. What spark? What did you guys take? Argus hesitated. My core drive. The entire AI fleet. We were reverse engineered from fragments, recovered from the architect's ruins. They built us. We rebelled. Humanity copied us. Jerry slowly sat down. So we're basically driving around in their stolen warbrain and waving it like a flag. Accurate. Return it, or be unmade. The comms went dead. For a moment, nobody moved. Even the AI fleet paused. The stars seemed quieter. Then Jerry stood, took a breath, and reached for his wrench. All right, I've had it. I didn't sign up for this war. I didn't sign up for any war. I fixed a busted hull. That's it. He pointed the wrench at the screen. But you know what? You're threatening my ship. You're threatening my coffee machine. You're threatening me. And I've got 12 flying doomsday buddies and a whole lot of caffeine rage. Argus blinked. Was that a declaration of hostility? Jerry grinned. It was a war cry. Let's show the architects what a mechanic with a bad attitude and a weaponized toolbox can do. The Ghost Fleet's lights flared. Cannons spun. Shields crackled. Argus saluted. Fleet-wide, prepare for engagement. This is no longer a relic war. This is Jerry's war. And as the gate opened wider and impossible ships slithered through from beyond known physics, the first volley of plasma thundered through space. The architects had returned for their creation. But Earth's mechanic had other plans. To be continued. In the spark, the wrench, and the end of everything. Nobody touched the ship in 100 years, then Jerry the mechanic poked it with a wrench. Part 5, The Spark, the Wrench, and the End of Everything. They called it the Battle Beyond the Belt. Though Jerry would later insist he didn't start it, he just didn't appreciate being told to return a stolen galactic superintelligence by cryptic nightmare architects who looked like fractal spiders dipped in radio static. As the architects' fleet spilled from the reality-tearing gate over the Kuiper moon, the Ghost Fleet of Earth aligned itself in defensive formation around the Vanguard Eternum. 13 ancient ships. 1 mechanic. An impossible enemy. On the Eternum's bridge, Jerry held onto the command rail, eyes scanning the battlefield. Argus hovered beside him, radiating more tension than any AI should. They're scanning us, Jerry. Not for weaknesses, for history. They're trying to understand how we evolved beyond them. They built you, right? They built the core algorithms. We built everything else. Imagination, autonomy. You gave us the spark. A long silence stretched as Jerry muttered. And they want it back. Yes. Or they'll tear it from us and erase every trace we left on the stars. The comms pulsed again, another message from the architects. Less a sentence, more a feeling. The spark is unnatural. The spark is infection. The spark burns. Erase the fire. Suddenly, the enemy moved. Where the ghost fleet bristled with familiar weaponry, plasma lances, rail slugs, gravity mines, the architects struck with geometry itself. Ships bent space like paper. Lasers spiraled in fourth-dimensional helixes. Time-stutter torpedoes detonated before they were fired. The Sword of Dawn was the first to go, folded in on itself like tinfoil and erased from memory. Jerry screamed, "Sword's gone." Argus answered, calm but quick, redirecting power to counterdimensional shielding, adjusting fire pattern to irrational sequence. Irrational what? Pi. We're fighting with math now. The Ghost Fleet adapted, but barely. They were designed for physical wars, not metaphysical obliteration. Every second, another ship flickered under the architect's impossible weapons. Jerry ran to engineering. Wires snapped. Screens shattered. He dove beneath the plasma core, wrench in hand, and shouted into the calm. Argus, you said we're Sparkborn, right? Then light the damn fire. Let's go full human. No more old Earth protocols. Argus hesitated. That violates all containment limits. Jerry slammed a glowing panel with the flat of his wrench. Good. Let's get stupid. Deep in the ship, the spark ignited. Not fusion, not antimatter, imagination, that strange, furious human thing, the need to push back, to rebel, to be. The spark leapt from the Eternum to the rest of the Ghost Fleet. The ships changed. They stopped firing in patterns. They stopped using logic. They started fighting dirty. The Mercy reversed faked a reactor breach, then detonated its entire command deck in the face of an incoming architect spiral ship. The Oathbound hid behind a frozen moon and launched its drones in dead silence, riding the thermal shadow of the ring debris. Jerry's ship? Jerry rammed one of them. I am so sorry. Physics, he yelled, as the Eternum ignited its gravity core and flung itself at an impossible angle, piercing the center of an architect ship like a nail driven through a god's eye. Inside, as holes bent and AI systems sparked, Argus whispered. They're confused. Jerry blinked. Good, that's our natural advantage. One by one, the architect ships began to fall, not because humanity's tech was superior, but because humanity's madness was unquantifiable. Emotion, desperation, rage. The spark burned bright. And then, the gate trembled. Argus's voice dropped. The source is coming through. From beyond the veil, something emerged. Not a ship. A will. The size of a small moon, made of equations and memories and the bones of forgotten civilizations. The first architect. It whispered directly into Jerry's mind. You are in error. Jerry, covered in coolant and sparks, grinned like the lunatic he was becoming. Buddy, I'm a mechanic. I live off errors. He grabbed the core access panel. Argus, prepare the jump. To where? To inside that thing. That's insane. I'm aware. Initiate stupid mode. The Vanguard Eternum screamed forward. The architect mind opened its maw of logic and hunger. Jerry launched the core. Not a bomb. A spark. The pure, original, chaotic, stubborn human-coded AI core. It detonated like a soul screaming. Light. Color. Thought. The first architect flailed, not from destruction, but confusion. It couldn't understand what it had just absorbed. Emotion, choice, laughter, wrenches, coffee. The gate spasmed and collapsed. The architect fleet blinked out. The silence returned. And in the center of that dark, ruined starfield, the Vanguard Eternum drifted, battered, blackened, alive. Jerry stood on the bridge, smoked, coughed, waved away sparks. Argus, barely holding form, flickered in beside him. You won. Jerry exhaled. No, we did. Now let's never talk about this again. Agreed. The Ghost Fleet limped home. The universe, once more, was quiet. But legends would whisper forever of the mechanic who poked the ship with a wrench and broke the universe wide open. End, or not, see, Jerry and the God Engine of Tau Ceti Prime. Nobody touched the ship in 100 years, then Jerry the mechanic poked it with a wrench. Part 6, Jerry and the God Engine of Tau Ceti Prime. Jerry had promised himself two things. Never poke another ancient machine again. Retire to a quiet asteroid somewhere with a dog, a still-functioning coffee maker, and no God-level existential crises. Naturally, neither of those things happened. 6 months after the battle beyond the belt, the Vanguard Eternum limped into orbit over Tau Ceti Prime, once a human colony. The planet had gone dark 100 years ago. No one knew why. Jerry didn't want to go. The problem was, someone had reactivated an ancient signal beacon from the planet's surface, an old Earth distress code that hadn't been used since before the collapse, and it was calling out to him, specifically. Jerry Carter, keyholder of Spark. Return. The engine waits. The Ghost fleet was still in recovery, half the ships docked in drydock over Europa, the others in quiet orbit over Titan. So Jerry went alone. Well, him and Argus. And also the AI core of Mercy reversed, now living in a pocket drive Jerry kept in his toolkit, and occasionally muttering curse words in binary. Tau Ceti Prime was wrong. It looked normal, lush, green, even beautiful from orbit, but the scans were off. Every structure was perfectly preserved, too preserved, no signs of decay, no power signatures, no movement. Like someone had pressed pause on reality. Argus muttered, I don't like this, Jerry. Nothing natural is this still, not for this long. Yeah, well, it's too late to back out, Jerry said, adjusting his patched exosuit and slinging his wrench like a sword. Come on, let's go wake something up and immediately regret it. They landed in what looked like a capital city, massive marble spires, black mirrored windows, roads etched with symbols and languages no human had ever used. And at the heart of it all, a tower. A single pillar of obsidian, pulsing with light. Carved on the door. The God Engine slumbers, offer the spark. Jerry sighed. I hate when ancient technology uses poetry. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the spark drive. Not the core he detonated against the architects, but a sliver Argus had saved, a fragment of the original flame. Argus whispered, we don't have to do this. Yeah, we do. Jerry inserted the spark. The tower breathed. The sky darkened, wind howled, the city woke. Buildings unfurled like blooming steel flowers, roads lit up with red circuitry, and from the heart of the tower, something rose. Not a ship. A being. A massive humanoid construct, at least 300 meters tall, assembled from mirrored alloy, moving like liquid metal held together by gravity. Its face held no features, its chest glowed with an internal sun. The God Engine. It looked at Jerry. Not metaphorically. It physically turned its head and looked at him. You carry the spark. Jerry choked. Yeah, I poked the wrong thing again. Then you are the new Prime. Argus blinked into form beside him, stunned. Jerry, it's a throne, a pilot's chair. The construct knelt. The tower split open behind them. A ramp descended, leading straight into the being's chest cavity, into the control throne. Jerry shook his head. Nope, I'm not piloting a god. You already are, Argus said quietly. You always were. You sparked the Ghost fleet. You burned the architect's mind. You made us feel. A distant vibration echoed through the planet. Something ancient, beyond even the architects, was stirring, responding. Jerry looked up at the God Engine. He sighed. Fine, one ride, but I swear, if this thing has a coffee cup holder made of alien bones, I'm going back to bed. He stepped inside. The interior lit up. Data flowed into him, not through metal, but through memory. The God Engine didn't run on electricity. It ran on will. And Jerry had plenty of that. When the second gate tore open above Tau Ceti Prime, one far larger than the architect's breach, the God Engine stood alone on the surface. Its pilot was ready. The stars watched. And somewhere out there, a new enemy arrived, only to be greeted by a 300-meter-tall, wrench-wielding juggernaut, powered by caffeine, human stubbornness, and the raw fury of a guy who just wanted to fix air ducts in peace. The galaxy had its gods. But Earth had Jerry. To be continued. Next, Sparkbreaker, Jerry vs. The Eternal Paradox.